Jesus.
What's good, America? It's your man, Reggie Florima, a.k.a. Big Flo, one half of the Big Flo No Show. Today we got a nice special guest coming to you live. This man was the #1 receiver in the country coming out of high school in 2010. Spent some time at USC, but finished off in my hometown college, Northwestern. Then he spent time as a free agent with the Browns and the New Orleans Saints. Let's get a nice round of applause for Kyle Prater.
Appreciate you, Rez, for having me, man. Thank you.
No problem, my friend. Let me get you on the screen. So, we call him KP, lovingly call him KP, but Kyle Prater, a man who I'd heard of a long time before I got the pleasure of meeting him. So Kyle, tell the audience, where'd you grow up?
I grew up in Maywood, Illinois, west suburb here in Chicago. Not too far, from downtown Chicago. Maywood, Illinois is the hometown for me, man. That's the birthplace.
That's what's up. So guys, if you can't tell from there, he's a humongous individual. I'm a big dude, but when I see him, he's like 6'5", got like a 35-foot wingspan, looks like a condor. So the first thing you think of when you see him is basketball. Did you start off playing basketball?
No, I started off playing football. I didn't pick up basketball until, my sophomore year in high school. But it was something I did. I played basketball on the side. I was decent. I was all right.
Decent, but football was that first love?
Yeah.
So tell me, you came out of high school, you came up, your high school hasn't been known for having the top players all the year. Nothing against your high school, but it wasn't like you guys are producing players like yourself every year. You came up and you had the #1 ranking. Did you play football like for one of the popular youth teams in Chicago, or did you not pick that up until you got to high school?
I played for the Maywood Bucks.
Okay.
It was a real popular, team
Absolutely.
at the time. I know my head coach at the time was Coach Speed, and then I didn't really start taking off and excelling at the receiver position until I would say seventh, 8th grade.
Okay.
When I really started to find that I can catch the ball and make some plays. I was a little lanky kid.
Mm-hmm.
Little knock-knee, little lanky little kid, out there making plays. But, man, it started at Maywood for me, Maywood Bucks.
Now, did you start off at another position, or you just played receiver and weren't making noise?
So I was making noise my 7th and 8th grade year, but before that, like junior Pee-wee before midget, I was playing like DN, DN lineman, running around.
Everybody starts off there, and then you can gravitate. You always pretty tall because you're 6'5" now, I think, right?
Yeah, I was always, I would say pretty tall. I was like the average height around, but I was always that gangly because I was growing into my body.
Mm-hmm.
That type of size. So, yeah.
Well, that came together. So, when did you start getting the national publicity in high school? I know today's kid is, they're getting pub, and I think like 3rd and 4th grade, they're starting to rank these kids and tell you how great they are. When did you start getting the national attention that you received?
I didn't start getting national attention until one-day camp my junior year at Proviso West. Coach Hubbard, he brought me down to Illinois for a one-day camp, a Nike camp they had. And then from there, the rest is history. I think what happened when I went down there, did some one-on-ones and just wowed the coaches. And they had some media there. And at this time, it wasn't social media like it is now, like the frenzy. It was, but at the time, that media was just, everybody was like, who was that kid? Who was that dude? Drove up from Maywood all the way down there, just to put myself in an opportunity to just get heard, let somebody see me because they don't really come to Proviso West.
Right.
We weren't really the top tier school, and but I knew I had talent and believed in myself enough to like drive down Illinois. Coach Hubbard brought me down and put me in front of the coaches. And I remember this one story. It's funny. Coach Dish and Zook, they saw me and was just enamored. And then they brought me upstairs, and they offered me that day, but they wasn't trying to like tell any other, like the media talk about me because they didn't want me to get out. They didn't want me to get out, so they tried to keep it on the low. And we told them that, of course, we want to go and explore. And I got the utmost respect for that coaching staff at the time, Dish and Zook. And then, but I really took off from that day, and then the rest was just other camps that I got invited to, and we did the 707. 707 wasn't as prevalent then as it is now. We was just scratching the surface, so like we was like the pioneers for 707.
What team
my
were you
class.
back then? Was it Core Six
the-
around then, or were you not
I,
even
I
in
wasn't even on. The thing is, people be tying me, associating me to Boone and Core Six. Like I was training with those guys
it?
just at the facility with Jr. And they was just about to start scratching the surface with 7-0. So
Right.
I didn't really have a 7-on-7 team other than a little team we had collectively put together, the top guys in the area,
Mm-hmm.
and they put together a team that went to Ohio. And then the 7-on-7s we did at Proviso West. We would travel, and that's how I got my name out. Just those little things and just dominating.
Yeah, my day 7-on-7 was just your school versus someone else's school, and I was a lineman. They'll just let you play a little linebacker just so you can stay busy or whatever. I don't remember it being this
Right.
big national thing it is today.
Yeah,
So
it's crazy.
you get through that, and now you're the number one receiver. When did they give you that number one tag? Did you hold on to that for a few years, or is that something you just finished up with?
I held on it for like 2 years from my junior year to my senior year, but I think what happened, it started at the U.S. Army Combine.
Mm-hmm.
We drove down there to almost the same type of deal, driving out to Illinois. Just I got invited to come out there. I think it was just based on my my junior year, and then they invited me going into senior year, and then from there we went to Texas, out in San Antonio, and they had 40 yards dashes we ran. We had the 40 and all the combine stuff that we did. We did one-on-ones, and that was the one thing that I never really blew nobody away with my measurables, like running fast.
Mm-hmm.
I could jump high, but I was more quick and deceptive in my speed and just knew the game. Like then when it came to one-on-ones, it's like, who's going to guard me?
Who's
Nobody.
Gonna guard you? Yeah, I mean, you're not
Like
going to someone with a 6'5" guy, and DBs weren't getting to be 6'2" and 6'3".
and I could move.
Yeah, right.
And I could move. So like it was a different beast for them, and no one seen that at the time. It was like, who is this kid, that can move at 6'5" like this and separate and run routes. Still wasn't polished at the time, but I just like I just found some old footage that my father had recorded, which is really vintage, and just looking at how I was moving and versus the other guys at that current state, no one was moving like me. It was like it's crazy how much the game is advanced now, because I look at myself now compared to a guy now, like I wasn't doing shit. like I wasn't doing nothing. These kids now have the opportunity to fast forward training and ways of moving because of your phone is in your hand.
Yeah.
These kids are visual. I was visual. You ain't have to tell me. It's like, show me.
Yeah.
So when I train my kids, and when I train your son, it's like I can easily tell you run a slant, but it'll look better and you'll grasp it and comprehend it better if I run it. And that's why I try to stay healthy as much as I can. But like if I visualize it for them, they'll visualize it even better. But half the time, kids don't need coaches because they got coaches on their phone. They can go to Footwork Kings, Receiver Factory, or my page, or
there's a million
or anybody.
It's just there's so much, and guys are putting in so much work, and they're crossing paths and seeing different kids so much there. So I want to talk a little bit more about this recruiting, and then we're going to get into your training for sure. So you come down, you go to USC. What was your top 5 choices?
It was USC, Notre Dame, USC, Notre Dame, Michigan. Michigan was in there. I think I had Northwestern was in there. And who else? I think that was it.
What made you decide to go pull the trigger on USC and go all the way away from home?
Well, I wanted to go away from home, man, because my dad raised me to be on my own 2 feet, and for me it was more so going out there to grow and find myself as a man away from the house, and I knew I wanted to get against top tier guys every day, and I knew USC had that, so I was looking at that, growing as a man, and having an opportunity to go play in the NFL, go to play for Pete Carroll, I had it all lined out, it was ready. And then I got hit with a curveball when Coach Carroll decided to leave. He left the day of the U.S. Army game, like right on national television. So they asking me on live television, like, so how does it feel to be committed to USC? And like I just found out word that he just left. I think they took on air. They found out and they asked me on air, and I was like, well, we have to figure it out after the game. Like you telling us, like a 17, 18-year-old kid like this. At the time, like before a game, like I mean, my career has been like a roller coaster, man. I know I can go on riffs, but like I tell people, I did the movie about my life because I don't want kids to go through what I went through because of they can just see it because I lived it. You know,
And that's a big part of the show. One of the reasons why I want to have you on is just I see where you are now, what great things you're doing today, and just let people know where they come from. Because I think a lot of people look and see, and they just look at Storybook. Oh, number one receiver, he did this. Okay, this is Storybook and whatever. And I like to hear people the grind. So you get to USC, you're the number one receiver. After 2 years, you decide to transfer. Talk us through that decision. Kind of what went on during those 2 years, and what made your decision to come back home.
the decision to come back home was because when you look at my career, and anybody can Google it, you see my name and it's gonna have, oh, Kyle's a bust, injury prone, or this or that, and that's what was the story for me. For me to transfer was, my relationship with Coach Kiffin at the time wasn't the best. Still needs to be worked out to this day. Would love to have a conversation with him in regards to his coaching and how he treated his players. But for me, I was hurt, and I had I think it was 3 games left in the season at USC, and I had my pinky right here, which you see is like super jacked up.
A lot of people got those fingers. Too bad O's not on the show.
Yeah,
got some sexy fingers.
So like this particular situation I had before it got like this, because I had surgery, I had got it stuck in a helmet, and it got pushed back like that. So I had to get work done on it. But Coach Kiffin, I had to have a meeting with him because with 3 games left, I wasn't gonna make it because I had to get this done. And he said some words to me in that meeting that I had my parents on the phone in my pocket, because I knew at the time Coach Kiffin, he could say some things, what I'm saying, that weren't pleasing, that players shouldn't be hearing. If you talking about a coach to a player, you gotta understand your coach to player relationship has, people understand they have a they directly help you get in position to excel based on how they treat you.
Absolutely.
And I know it said you get to college, things gonna be different. Of course, it's gonna be different. I ain't asking nobody to be sitting there babying my ass, like running around here, like, if I get hurt, I understand I got to go through it. But like to look at me as like a piece of, me in the situation when I say I need to get surgery, and you call me these names and words, like you're gonna do this with 3 games left. But like, you're not using me anyway. Yeah. I already wasn't playing. I was only coming in the game to MDM block safeties and crack block safeties, and I was doing it damn well. And y'all give me one little bone every night. It wasn't even every night. I got one little bone that year. And so like I had to deal with all those injuries, and at the same time being addicted to pain medicine, which a lot of people didn't know. So dealing with that, opioids and all those, getting shot up before games just to play. Dealt with so many things, but I feel like transferring was going to be the best thing for me to get my career back off the ground, because I still knew I was the number one player, and my mind just got hurt so many times. The best thing for me to do was leave LA, the place where all the distractions were. When I did get hurt, I went to cope with going out and finding, messing around with women and taking pills just to suppress the pain that I was going through, because the coaches didn't F with me. Kevin was doing me wrong, wasn't even looking at me in the hallways. It's like, how you mad at a kid for being hurt? No one plays the game to get hurt. I didn't play the game to get 5 surgeries. I bust my ass. And like, I think for a lot of people to see, for someone to have 5 surgeries, transfer, go to the league, get cut, get injured, then come back, break his foot, get back on the team. NFL teams won't look at that narrative when they're trying to sign you as a free agent. Like, hey man, look at all I went through, and I'm still here. Shouldn't that show y'all something?
That's real.
Like, forget all you're not durable, you're not liable. Like, I'm liable because I'm still here. Skip what it look like on paper. So like, I had to deal with this uphill battle my whole career, man. So for me to go back, let me take you back to the SC and leaving, best decision I ever made. Yeah. To everybody else, oh my God, why is he leaving his butts? He's just mad because he ain't playing. So what? Have your opinions, bro. Like, this is my life. Right. You ain't living it. No one else is living his life but me. And that's the thing where we go wrong at.
Now, it's interesting, you came back home. Now, I've always kind of had my opinions, but I want to hear yours. Do you feel like, when you're a skill guy and you go out of the region, to maybe a Florida school or, the USC type things, do you feel like it's a little harder for a guy to come out of there? Because, if you think right now, you think of high schools that they have USC quarterbacks, you're going to think modern day, right? Somebody in LA, that's what they're looking for. You think it's difficult for a guy from Chicago to get on there? They're more prone to their guys, or no? Or is that just a comment?
Yeah, no, I think it is tougher. It is tougher because, when I came in And I love these guys, Robert Woods, Marquise Lee. They're California guys.
Mm-hmm.
And so when I went out there, before Keith got there, we just SC stockpile top receivers.
No doubt.
Like, and I think that's tough. And everybody wants to go SC, but I think like for me to go out there and stockpile get at SC when I got hurt is like next man up. It's another number one guy up.
Mm-hmm.
And so in that situation, for me to get hurt, let's just say we both get hurt and we both come back at the same time. They're gonna take care of the guy from Sierra High School more than they take care of me. But it wasn't the case. It wasn't the case for me. I'm just giving you an example. Woody earned everything. Woody balled out. Like Woody's a hell of a receiver. It was supposed to be me and him coming in tag tandem. But when I got hurt, things changed up. He took off. The guy stepped up. That's what you're supposed to do.
No doubt.
Like I would do the same thing. Everyone, that's what you're supposed to do. But like for me, I was still scratching and clawing, and these guys and my teammates saw it, and they knew. Players know players in the locker room. You know that when you're in the locker room, players know players. And that's the thing with people. That's what I really love about the game. It's like players know players, guys know guys.
Mm-hmm.
So
Grant, that's love. So you come back to Northwestern, hometown school, play there for a couple of years, and you end up going free agent, you said, to the Browns, and then with New Orleans. And then was it another injury bug that got you at the end there, or how did that story end?
In New Orleans, your video went away.
I'm sorry. So you go to the Browns, and then you finish up in New Orleans, I think, in 2015, 2016, and then you come out the NFL. Kind of what made you decide that to stop pursuing the NFL? I know that's always NFL is the girlfriend that breaks up with you typically before you break up with it, but you have to at some point you figure out you got to stop sending flowers and stop calling. So at some point you did that and you transitioned really well. What kind of went through that decision?
Yeah, we did have a little bad relationship, me and NFL. But I think we all do. All free agents do. I think the realization came for me was my last injury with the Saints, which was my concussion, and I broke a piece of my SC joint on a play in the preseason and practice. And I was doing well too, man. I was doing really well in camp, and I was running with the 1s, 2s, and the threes, getting little reps here and there. But when I had that one play, I just started to realize that, like, I knew right there and then that was my last straw. Like, for me coming in here already walking wounded, having a scratch and claw, and get on the team, and then for that, I had to be balling every day for me to like get to where I needed to go with the Saints. And so that didn't happen. So when that happened, I knew I got on IR, and when I got on IR, I was on IR for like 4 weeks, and I had the concussion, go through all the neurologist stuff and everything. And once I got released, I went home, and I think this was around September. I got released and went home, and I had took out $20,000 loan going into that season because I was confident, like, I'm going to make the team. This is the second year. I know I've been in the offense. I'm working my personality, my work ethic. I'm crazy in the off season. I took the playbook home. I'm going through it. I'm ready. I'm balling all the way up into that one play. So like before then, that $20,000 I took, $25,000 that I took out was like money that I knew I was going to make back based on the pay we get during the season, which is nothing. I pay that back. Thank God. Just thank God that I was on the IR for 4 weeks. So the money I made, because after taxes, they tax everything. I had to use that money to pay back the loan, October 5th, 2016. I remember this to this day, just for financial literacy for kids, so they won't do the same dumb stuff that I did. Spending money that I ain't even got, counting chickens before they even hatched, like, doing stuff like that. So I used that money to pay the loan back, and the little remaining money that I had, I went and bought a camera for $1,500, which was a Canon 80D. And that was just strictly so I could make my workouts look better, which NFL teams can care two shits about. Right. They want to know if you can perform. But me, I'm always outside the box. I'm not trying to conform and do what they saying. It's like, I know y'all don't do it, but hey, I'm still doing it my way. I still look good on film, though. It just look a little different. Right. And I started to grow this. Yeah, no doubt. I just started and I started to find this love for, for storytelling around that. And plus, I always love soundtracks and film and scoring. And then boom, and the rest was just like.
So that's interesting. So you kind of picked up that hobby by accident and turned it into production. Because now I think I may have met you in 17. It really wasn't too far after that. Really 17, 18 at the latest I met you. and you were training kids, and you kind of were full steam ahead with that. But then I noticed that you had Chasing Greatness as well as your company with pictures and production. Talk about that transition and how you did it, because I think you did it so well. You seem so happy with yourself and everything that's going on with your life. And I think that's a story I'd like to people to hear. You transitioned, you put it all behind you, and boom, now you're training kids full time and you're doing this production. Talk about that and how that transition's been for you.
Yeah, and I think I'm blessed and fortunate enough to being able to like transition smoothly like that. But again, it wasn't easy because I made the film that I made, Shifting Gears, to basically tell my story of how it is to transition, because majority of athletes that do transition struggle with it. Because you got to think about a sport that we've been playing our entire life, that we put so much energy into, so much of our focus, so much has been centered around it. People is getting tinted around their life around it, and it's gone. And so from there, you have to figure out, like, who are you? You really find out who are you outside of your identity of sport. And so I had to find that self, and I was able to pick the camera up and start telling my own story and my narrative of just my career with USC and being a top recruit. And I think you said it was an accident I fell into. I don't think anything's an accident. I think God ordains everything. Like, but sometimes we don't see it. And so, like, for everything to come back full circle and be in the film space and narrative, I'm still doing something that I love, because I'm telling stories for athletes that going to go through the same thing. Reggie might see my story and be like, damn, I can go through it. I'm going through it. Let me turn to Shifting Gears. Let me turn to KP's story. Like, we're in a climate where, like, I can't really make stuff for myself and feel comfortable, because I want to push the culture forward, and especially the people that look like me and you. And so, you know, everything that I'm doing ain't for accident. So I'm here for a reason, doing what I'm doing.
No doubt, that's love. I mean, I think it's great. You know, what you're giving the kids is what, you know, people my age definitely didn't have, and I'm not even sure your era did. It's just guys who are willing to come through because, you know, like yourself, I went to college, came out pretty high. Things didn't go exactly as planned, and you got to come out and you have to transition and you got to move forward. But you got to be able to tell that story. A lot of people want to hide from their story, or they kind of, you know, maybe feel. And not that you have anything to be embarrassed about, because I mean, hell, shit, you get to the NFL for 1 second, that's more than everybody. But you know, some people want to hide away; they don't want to talk about it, leave you alone. I'm happy you came out here because people need to hear it. You know, you go out there, things happen. You're the number one guy. You've got all the tools. You do the things the right way. You can pick the school. You're a good student. You come out, and you know, you can still get hurt. You can do whatever. But you can't just fall down. You can't just be done with it, right? You can't just spend the next 5 years of your life being lost, and you're not. So, you know, how are you pacing it now between training kids and Chasing Greatness? I'm sorry, is that the name of the company? I'll make sure I'm saying that the right way.
Yeah, Chasing Greatness Productions, yeah.
Okay. How are you leveling that time? Which ones you just giving whichever one's hot that day, or you just ebbs and flowing, or are you trying to go further with one of them than the other?
I mean, right now I've gotten to the point when we met 2017, now it's 2020. I've gotten it to a place where it's like a well-oiled machine. Mm-hmm. So I got a team that I work with on my production. I got my manager who's my VP in the production, and I have a team, the crew that I contract out for, you know, for sets and stuff of that nature. And then, you know, I have my own pre-production meetings. I set my own schedule. I mean, I'm working for me. I mean, and I was very adamant about that, especially coming out of the league, because the owners and all the GMs got so much control over me. Right. You know, like, I don't want to be walking around with my tail tucked underneath me. Like, when I was with the Saints, you know, just having, like, I'm not myself. Like, it's so much added pressure. Like, I can't be Odell. Odell's himself in the locker room, himself. Me in the locker room is like, I know I can be this, but, like, I got to tone it down, because I ain't getting paid. I'm not I'm not the second contract guy. I'm the guy trying to get to the first contract. I'm just trying to make the Bears $450,000. Mm-hmm. So, like, again, there's so many things added. But, like, when I got out the league, when I started my own business, I was like, man, you know what, man, my dad, you know, I know my dad worked. My dad still works to this day. And, you know, my dad always stressed, get a job. My dad, very, you know, old school. He was old school. Like, man, you just get a job. You know, when I was struggling with my production, just go out and get a job. I was staying at their house at the time before I moved downtown. And, like, I'm not used to the traditional way of thinking. Like I'm not ancient. I don't feel like I need to go and not
Come
just.
on, man. Ancient. You can't kind of call us ancient.
No,
A little gristle, a little well done, but maybe not ancient. Don't give us that.
no. I mean, but there's no disrespect to the people that do have 9 to 5s. It's just I just wanted to. I know my spirit and who I am.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like to have to be controlled and have power over me, like in that sense.
Mm-hmm.
And like I do that to show people that's where you could be an entrepreneur, still entrepreneur. I did it. I went out there and did it. You can do it too. And so it was one of those things, this leap of faith in God, man, because this shit ain't easy. It ain't easy at all.
You gotta hustle. You gotta, when you work on somebody else's payroll, some of the good times and the bad times, as long as they don't fire you, you still getting the check. But guys, times like now, the pandemic, people probably took some time off of training. People can't get together to film, so you got to do a lot to make that stuff happen. So talk to me about your training philosophy. So I had my son with you for a while. I think it was a great opportunity to work with a guy who's been through it and done it. You paid attention to detail. Talk about your philosophy on how you train receivers.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned detail because that's basically I'm very detailed, and I look at not to go back to film, but like when I transitioned, I was noticing that I'm the same way I am in film than I was on the field. Mm-hmm. As far as routes, like there's 1,000 different ways to run one route. Like there's different ways to run a slant. There's different ways to run an out. There's different stems. There's different releases. There's different leverage points that a corner has on you that might dictate your route. So you got to know all that pre-snap for just one route. Mm-hmm. And so when I train my kids, and like I think what separates me is just one, is just my ability to put it out there for them to grasp it and comprehend it. One that's with me visualizing it for them and doing it. But just knowing that it's more to just the lines on the paper. My receiver coaches just said, don't just run the lines on the paper. Because you see on the line, say you got the 9, you got the tree, the route tree, you got the slant, boom, 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 and it's all like cookie cutter, just that. Yeah. Like a real route tree is like, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. It's like there's so many ways to run every route. So when I'm training, I'm very hyper focused on like detail, the little things that you don't think matter. Mm-hmm. They matter.
One funny thing I got to say, guys. So my son did some one-on-ones back with KP, and he gets into it. First of all, he's going to be sweating when it's over because he's going to be putting in the work too. But so Kyle would help tell my son the route. He would jam my son at the line with the football in his hand, jam my son at the line while my son runs a route. Then he would spin off the jam, and he would become the quarterback and throw the ball to my son and drop a dime. And I'm like, this man just played DB and quarterback while he was coaching my son through this thing. I was like, he's going to be just as sweaty as your child is at the end of the training, man. He puts a lot of work into it. I appreciated that. I did.
Man, it's all love, man. That's all I know, man. That's all I know. I can't give these kids no half the night. I don't know half. I don't know what that means.
Mm-hmm. So what kind of trends are you seeing with today's athlete that you like, trends that you don't like?
It's crazy, man. I feel like I'm glad we're talking about this because there's a lot of trends that I don't like, and there's some trends that I do. When it comes down to training, there's a few guys that I follow, and there's a few guys I follow that I really enjoy watching because they really teaching the kids. There's some guys that I'm watching, they just making guys do hella, drills for nothing. And I think it was a discussion Deion Sanders was talking about stop making these kids do these drills that don't apply to the game. Mm-hmm. They ain't ever gonna ever do. Like how many times you gonna see somebody do hella cone drills, fast feet, going down the field, doing it again at this. Like so, when I train, I like to simulate an actual play or route, and I may do that over and over again within that one rep. Mm-hmm. So like if we running a whip route, and on a whip route you got to sail slant, but the focus on my drill, I want to just focus on the hips opening. So I might put the cone between 5 yards from another, and just have them do like the pivot, flipping his hips back and forth, to like basically remake the route. And then at the end of the day, we always do the same route that we just did. But it's just now it's just like when you in football, individual period. Mm-hmm. Then you take it to 7-on-7, and you take it to team. And then the coaches be like, why you doing this in individual, then you don't do it in team? You do it in one-on-one, you get to team, you lose all your technique.
Right.
So like you got to be able to take it from individual, 7-on-7, team, then a game. So I try to do that in practice as much as possible.
Yeah. One thing I will say, folks, when you think about training out there, and again, I've done a lot of pieces now talking about like what we should do with youth football coaches and all kinds of recruiting or whatever, but spend the extra time and spend the extra money doing the one-on-ones. One thing I like about what Kyle will do that you can't do in team sessions or whatever. So you can go to team sessions, you're going to go through the reps, and you're going to coach as much as possible. But what your son may have a problem doing, the other kids may not. You can't stop the whole group session to do that. But what Kyle will do is he'll run you through a route, and we'll break down to the minutia little piece of it and do that 15, 20 times to get that right before you go through the whole motion. And I think with these young athletes, it's almost like physical therapy when you're training these kids because they all have something that they're doing that's wrong. It's a deficiency that they need to build up. And the more you can break that down, I think the better. And you do a great job with that, definitely.
Muscle memory. I mean, it's muscle memory, and anything you break down. I've always liked this one expression that's saying it's like if you hit an oak tree 1,000 times in 1,000 different places, you're not gonna knock it down. Like you hit an oak tree 1,000 times in one spot, you're gonna knock it down because you've beaten on that one spot. But like if you keep hitting it, boom, 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 you know what I'm saying? But you gotta embed that in your spirit every day. That move every day, you gotta do it every day. That same movement to become like riding a bike. Like I can still go out there now when I be doing certain things. I'm not in shape the way I want to, but my hips still drop low. Like my pad level still low because I really harped on that in high school and in college because there's a big, taller receiver, and I tell Reds, it's bigger receivers. When it comes down to breaking down and cutting, a lot is predicated on our pad level because we can indicate when we cutting sometime because we're so tall and high.
Yeah.
So that's why coaches tell us always stress to me, like, keep your pad level low, like keep your pads down because a little receiver get away with it because he's small. But
enjoy the fact that you can still do that though, because I'll tell you, as these birthdays start to jump on your back, you can't sink your hips away, or if you sink them, you can't pop back up like you used to. So
I know, man. My birthday tomorrow. I turn 28 tomorrow, man, on Father's Day. So I know. Trust me.
That's love. That's love. So hey, people out there listening, they want to work with you and train with you. How can they get a hold of you?
You can get a hold of me. My Instagram is K2P21, and you just DM me there. We can go through all the logistics and everything about sessions and where we at, and we can go from there.
And where can people see your work for Chasing Greatness?
You can see my website is chasinggreatnessproductions.com, and also we got our production page is CG. It's CG_PROD, Chasing Greatness Productions. That's our Instagram page for our production page as well.
Okay. You got anything, any big projects that'll be coming out we should be waiting for, or are you kind of on the grassroots still with some of the stuff? I
got some stuff coming out. I'm working on some stuff actually now. I'm doing some work with the Big Ten with the commissioner.
Okay.
Who was the first black commissioner ever in the Big Ten.
I did not know that. That's great to hear.
Yeah, so it's a blessing. Oh, yeah. Clap it up.
Clap it up, baby. Clap it up.
Clap it up for Kevin Warren, man, and the Warren family. So we're blessed working with them on some stuff. So we're excited about that.
What's up? Well, KP, I know that we only have you for a little bit today. You got some things you got to run off to do. Thanks for breaking off the time for us. Everybody listening, if you guys want to get to him, he dropped off his info. I'll put it in the comments section. Everyone who's watching, if you like this, please follow us. Share it on your Facebook page. Thanks a lot, man. We out.
Appreciate y'all.
But now the day has come.
Oh, yeah.
Where I'm coming from, yeah. What you done for me? Set my heart, yeah. What you done for me?
You finna make me play my oldies, man.